حي على الفلاح.
Bani Israel bore the trademarks of the thankless, constantly complaining about whatever they were provided with. They were unappreciative of any divine favors and took everything for granted, and in fact, carried within them a sense of entitlement. They were quick to lament about everything and repeatedly overstepped their boundaries with Allah. The 12 tribes wandered in the desert for decades, walking in circles and never finding their way out. This was their chastisement, but also their spiritual cleansing. During his lifetime, Musa alayhi salam struggled against three important oppressive, tyrannical powers: Pharaoh, who was a sample of governmental power; Qarun, who was the manifestation of wealth; and Samiri, who was the example of art, deceit, and illusion. Prior to becoming a believer, Qarun was the representative of the Israelites in the Pharaoh's court. He was not a particularly just man. He oppressed those under him. However, after accepting Musa's call, he devoted himself to worshiping Allah and sought knowledge and wisdom. It is said that Qarun was a close relative of Musa alayhi salam, and from the point of information, he had a considerable knowledge about the matters of the Torah. After Musa alayhi salam, no person recited the Torah better. He was a poor man who depended on the help of others to get by. Qarun asked Musa to make dua to Allah to make him rich. At first, Musa disapproved and advised him against it, but Qarun was persistent, and so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fulfilled his wish and gave him richness beyond any other men. He became a master in alchemy, which is a skill to turn base metal into gold. Before long, he became an extremely rich man, thanks to the art of alchemy he had learned from Musa alayhi salam. He was now gripped with greed and ambition, and lost every good quality he had. He was adrift in arrogance and conceit. Even though his richness exceeded what anyone could spend over several generations, he was tight-fisted. He was unwilling to spend any of it for the greater good of society, to alleviate the suffering of the needy, or even to save his own soul. He lived without any sense of accountability or responsibility to society and was arrogant to Allah. Allah the Exalted mentioned the abundance of his treasures to the extent that even the keys of those treasures could not be carried except by a group of strong men. It is said that those keys were made of skin and were so many that 60 mules were needed to transport them. The learned and pious of his people in Bani Israel constantly reminded him not to be arrogant with his wealth or be ungrateful to Allah. They also advised him to seek for that which Allah has given you, the home of the hereafter, meaning that he should direct his efforts to purchase a home in the hereafter by distributing majority of his wealth in the path of Allah. And yet, do not forget your share of the world, meaning to take accounts necessary without transgressing any bounds for his lawful share in this world. They advised that he should be good towards the less fortunate people, just like Allah was good to him, and do not seek corruption in the land. He was further advised not to be haughty towards them and not to cause corruption. If he does such a thing, then whatever he was given would be taken away. This is because verily Allah does not like those who cause corruption. Despite all the sincere advice, the only thing Qarun said was, "All that I have is due to a knowledge I possess." He meant that, "I do not need to hear all this or what you are directing me to, since Allah gave me all this because He knows that I deserve it. If I were not beloved to Him, He would not have given this to me." Like so many of us today who claim that any success is due to the fruits of our labor, our hard work, education, and skills, with no acknowledgement or gratitude to Allah for granting us the ability to do so. Qarun was inherently ungrateful to his Lord. He took credit for his own success and thought himself superior to the rest, both financially and morally. Allah rejected his argument by saying, Did he not know that Allah had destroyed before him generations, men who were stronger than him in might and greater in riches they had collected? Will not the criminals be asked about their offenses? Allah reminded him that he has destroyed many nations in the past due to their sins who were mightier than Qarun and who possessed more wealth than he did. Thus, if he were correct in what he said, Allah would not have punished them and destroyed them. Similarly, being wealthy and powerful is no proof of Allah's mercy. Allah said in this regard, "It is not your wealth nor your sons that will bring you nearer to us, but those who believe and do righteous deeds." So in a great display of arrogance and with the intention of showing off, he came before his people in all his worldly splendor, servants, clothes, and riding animals. This was part of his rebellion. They advised him, but he only grew in his arrogance. So all eyes were on him, and one group, specifically the group that desired the dunya, began to long for all that he had. "Oh, would that we had like what was given to Qarun. Indeed, he is one of great fortune." But those who had been given knowledge, they knew and understood the reality of things. They knew the reality of the life of this world and that of the akhirah. They were able to distinguish between right and wrong. This is the difference between the people of knowledge and the general masses. So these people admonished the previous group who were so dazzled by the wealth of Qarun. "Woe to you." So they're saying this to their faces. "As what are you being greedy for? You are envying Qarun? Is he even worth envy? Where are your senses? The reward of Allah is better." The reward of Allah in the dunya, in the form of the pleasure and the tranquility a person feels when worshipping Him and loving Him and turning to Him, and His reward in the akhirah and all of what Jannah contains is better. It is better than what these people are wishing for. It is better than what they desire. It is better than all that Qarun had. The reward of Allah is better. For whom? For he who believes and does righteousness, and none are granted it except the patient. Ibn Abbas said that Qarun gave an evil woman a sum of money to accuse Musa of doing evil actions while he was in front of his people. The slander had made Musa alayhi salam furious. By this time, the woman had moved through the crowd and was standing right next to them. She wanted to speak but couldn't. She became tongue-tied. Musa angrily asked, "Speak, woman, for the sake of Allah, who split the sea and revealed the Torah. Speak the truth. Do I know you? And do I have any relation to you?" The woman regretfully said, "The truth is that Qarun gave me a lot of money and bribed me to defame you." With deep remorse, she then repented. It is narrated that when Korah, came out with all his glitter and pride, he passed by a gathering in which Musa was addressing his people. When people saw him, they turned towards Qarun. Musa asked Qarun what led him to do such a thing. He said, "O Musa, if you have been favored with prophethood, then I have been favored with wealth. And if you wish, we can go to a particular place, and you invoke curse upon me, and I do the same against you." So Musa and Qarun went with their people. Musa asked him, "Will you invoke first, or should I start?" Qarun said, "I will invoke first." When he invoked the curse, it was not accepted against Musa. Then Musa asked him, "Should I now invoke?" Qarun said, "Yes." Musa said, "O Allah, order the earth to obey me today." Allah revealed to him that he has done so. Musa said, "O earth, take them." So the earth sank them up to their feet. Then again he said, "Take them." Then it took them up to their knees, then up to their shoulders. Then Musa said, "Bring their wealth and treasures." So the earth brought them up till they could see it. Then Musa said, gesturing with his hand, "Swallow these up." And so they were sunk into it. Allah says, "So we caused the earth to swallow him up and his mansion." Then he had no group or party to help him against Allah, nor was he one of those who could save themselves. As transmitted by Imam Bukhari, the Prophet ﷺ said, "While a man was walking, clad in a two-piece garment and proud of himself with his hair well combed, suddenly Allah made him sink into the earth, and he will go on sinking into it till the day of resurrection. What a horrible death to have suffered. In the blink of an eye, Qarun and all of his fortunes were swallowed by the earth, never to be seen again. Until today, people dream about excavating Qarun's lost treasures, but they are all deep in the belly of the earth. The ones who the previous day had wished to be in his position realized the error of their desires. They began to say, "Oh, how Allah extends provision to whom He wills of His servants and restricts it. If not that Allah had conferred favor on us, He would have caused it to swallow us. Oh, how the disbelievers do not succeed." They realize that indeed, the wealth of this world is all subject to Allah's will, and that each person is allocated provisions as Allah wishes, regardless of his talent or ability. They also realize that it is not the riches that causes one's success or failure in the eyes of Allah, or brings one closer to Allah. The disbelievers are the ones who failed in attaining the pleasure and mercy of Allah, regardless of their wealth. Qarun is so hated by Allah that he is now one of the leaders of Jahannam. No one goes to hellfire without having one of these three cursed people as his companion. Those who love their own status and glory above Allah will have Pharaoh as his companion. Those who love their jobs above Allah will have Haman, the Pharaoh's advisor, as his companion. And those who love their wealth and not use it for the path of Allah will have Qarun as his companion. Allah is giving a message to those running after the material world. Qarun accumulated and hoarded, but had no mercy for the poor and needy. He became arrogant with his money, status, and property. He misused his wealth and became proud and stingy. As a punishment, Allah destroyed him completely. Allah emphasizes that it is the piety, generosity, faith, and belonging to Allah that is our salvation. That home of the hereafter we assign to those who do not desire exaltedness upon the earth or corruption, and the best outcome is for the righteous. Today, we are self-obsessed, both on a personal and national level. The rift between the poor and the rich is widening, and most of the extremely affluent, including the super rich Muslims, indulge in the material life, abusing the bounties granted to them by Allah and the trust and responsibility associated with such bounties. Allah tells us, "And let not those who greedily withhold what Allah has given to them of His bounty ever think that it is better for them. Rather, it is worse for them. Their necks will be encircled by what they withheld on the day of resurrection. And to Allah belongs the heritage of the heavens and the earth. And Allah, with what you do, is fully acquainted."